Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the BB-Scho. I'm your host, Beebs. I'm here with my co-host, Chen. And we're just gonna dive right into it. Know how you doing today? We've got just a crazy week 9 slate to attack and get through. It's been a heck of a week. I apologize for the stuffed animals behind me. we're kind of in a hybrid situation here, but Chen, why don't you just kick us off? Let's dive right into week 9. I think game of the week, Texans Bucks. All right. CJ Stroud breaks the record, most passing yards from a rookie ever. Baker Mayfield's kind of going toe-to-toe with him. I mean, like, this is going back and forth, 39-37 final. I was just losing my mind watching this on Red Zone, mainly because I started CJ Stroud in one of my leagues where I needed to win. But floor is yours.
Yeah, no, I gotta love what you see from Stroud, especially with the Ohio State narrative. I mean, we've seen it with Justin Fields. He's the most recent example that they just can't put out competent quarterbacks. I mean, Terrell Pryor got moved to receiver. That's how, there's no Ohio State's NFL success. And it seems like that is just going to be so much farther from the truth with CJ Stroud. There's even articles going around that in the second half of the season, just due to schedule, Bryce Young is going to look better than Stroud. And I just have to fundamentally disagree. It's not that I'm out on Bryce Young. It's just Stroud. And you can push back on this if you want, but is putting already, to me, is in that category of like Andrew Luck. Like,
well, yeah, he just broke his record. He just broke his record.
Right. Yeah. Like Joe Burrow, like that idea of we would look at that team and call it a couple-win team, but you put Stroud on it, the Texans could go for 7 or 8 wins this year. And I think a lot of people wouldn't have even seen 4 going into the season. Just from the look of the Texans roster, forget quarterback play, but he's performing, especially like recently, at like a top 5, top 10 level in the NFL. So that's why I don't really have a problem crowning him in that upper echelon of like best rookie quarterbacks ever. I know we're only halfway through the season, but man, it's crazy to watch because the Buccaneers defense is no slouch. They got Todd Bowles as a defensive guy. I mean, you can push back on that. I know you're already kind of in agreement, especially with what he did for your fantasy team. You can't really hate on a guy like that.
Might be a little biased, but
yeah, your general thoughts on even just the Buccaneers side of things, like your main takeaways.
I mean, the Bucs they're overperforming from where I had them earlier in the year. I know they're 3-5, but it's like you look at their schedule. They lost this game by 2 on the greatest rookie passing performance ever. They were in that Bills game in prime time. They played horrible, and they were still right there. You know,
yeah.
They lost to the Falcons by 3. They did kind of get beat up by the Lions, but I don't think the Bucs are like out of this NFC South like race here just because the division is so bad. Like they're playing good, man, and I think that they can beat any team in that division easily. They might be the best team in that division in my head right now, which is weird because they're 3-5, and I know that I'm pretty sure the Saints have a better record than that. I have to double check that. Got a lot of stats and numbers in my head these days as we're halfway through the season, but I'm not out on the Bucs. This is, dude, they look great. How do you score 37 points and lose an NFL game? Like that's more, more power to your opponent. I guess play better defense, but when you've got a guy like CJ Stroud, man, like, going back to our buy, sell, hold tracker, I purchased CJ Stroud stock back in, I believe week 4 or 5, 3 confidence, October 5th. The stock is sky high and we're holding it, man. Like we are holding CJ Stroud. That was a long-term position. And I'm very happy with it right now. He looks amazing, man. And it's one of those things where he's not, it's like Burrow. I think that's the best analysis is like Luck came in to a fairly complete roster that Manning had departed from. Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, I'm pretty sure
they were 2-14 the year prior.
Yeah, because Manning didn't play a single game, but they still had Reggie Wayne. They still had T.Y. Hilton. And they started freaking Curtis Painter, and I'm pretty sure they lost half their games on freaking purpose because they wanted to get rid of Peyton Manning.
Yeah, but even like T.Y. Hilton was he was like a 5th or 6th round rookie. Like T.Y. Hilton became T.Y. Hilton because of Andrew Luck in my mind.
Okay.
And Reggie Wayne was on the backside at 30. Like Colby Fleener and Dwayne Allen were also draft picks. Like it was a young, completely new team that, and again, with like Joe Burrow, he's had like similar circumstances. Jamar Chase is young. And
yeah. So, but my point still stands. He's joining a roster that nobody really, like what I was going to say with Burrow, I guess is true for Luck as well. Like they both joined rosters that nobody expected much out of and immediately elevated them. And there's only a few rookie quarterbacks that have done that. Cam Newton, Joe Burrow, and Burrow kind of struggled his rookie year, but actually towards ACL, but
first year,
like
right away, immediate game changer.
Which is obviously a good sign if we're putting him in the category of Joe Burrow. We'll get to the Bengals, the state of the Bengals as we discuss almost every week on this podcast. But look, he looks phenomenal. He's poised. My gosh, how many guys in their career, how many NFL quarterbacks have ever, given up, their defense gives up a game-losing drive, leaves them 46 seconds, marches down the field, and scores with 6 seconds left? It's unbelievable, dude. It's unbelievable what the poise, the confidence, and just, I don't even know, the balls. Like he looked, I mean, it was truly incredible. He's turning guys into Dalton Schultz, Nico Collins, Noah Brown. Tank Dell's a rookie, but guys that have been other places like Dalton Schultz and not been these superstars into like 180-yard, multiple touchdown performers. Like it really is the Peyton Manning going to Denver effect. Like that's what I remember. Is like instantly every Denver receiver became, fantasy gods.
Julius Thomas.
And then Eric Decker goes to the Jets on a massive deal, and it's like, this guy kind of sucks. Like,
right.
So I can't say enough praise. Like Texans. My question for you is like, how much of this Texans love? Because early in the year we were giving credit to Miko Ryans, and now it feels like CJ Stroud's getting a lot of the credit. But like, where are you at? Like, is DeMeco Ryans? I'm assuming you're gonna say he's the guy, but like, what percentage of this is CJ Stroud of this 4-4 record success, and what percentage of it is DeMeco Ryans?
Oh, I think right now it could actually very well be 50-50 in the sense of like hand in hand. We see, especially with all that's coming out with the Raiders, how much damage a head coach can do. And you think of Hackett last year, like now more than ever because of just the amount of talent that is. I mean, we've seen with this NBA and other sports as well. Like the floor of talent is rising to the point where like mostly every team is competitive every single week. And you're not getting these teams that are just getting dogged. Like, they're going in, they're going to lose. We've had a lot of like, what I call it, like, I don't know, football games of the week where like teams we don't expect to win just find a way to win. And so coaching is more important now than ever. So seeing just DeMeco Ryans being able to manage a team and inspire a team that was very uninspiring going into the season. Like I stand by, I was like maybe 3 to 4 wins at most for the Texans team, no matter how well I thought Stroud would play. So, yeah, you can't really say that defense did their part on Sunday, but the team as a whole, I think DeMeco Ryans has them going in the right direction. So I would say right now it's 50-50.
I would probably go 65, almost 70 for DeMeco, just because bearing the responsibility of a rookie quarterback. Like if it was we added a new coach and we signed, if it was like the Jets, except Robert Saleh came in like this year, it's like, we added Aaron Rodgers and a new coach, then like, 50-50. But like, no, like a rookie doesn't know what's going on. Like he's got to be prepared and get him in a position to succeed. So like, I'm all in on DeMeco Ryans. I think they found their guy. And hopefully, I know the Texans organization has had some, shaky past when it comes to some of their players, and just dismay, D-Hop, Tyrann,
everything.
Tyrann Mathieu,
really
JJ Watt,
history.
It hasn't been great. So hopefully for them, they found their cast of characters and it fits. I know this is the same organization that fired Lovie Smith after one season, but it is what it is. We can pivot though. Let's pivot to another game of the week. We've got 4 or 5 of them to get through today. But I thought that was a big one. Another one. Let's go to you mentioned Josh McDaniels. Let's talk about it because this podcast is gonna love to run victory laps on Josh McDaniels getting fired. So I'll give you the floor, and then I'll give myself the floor. But you go first. Say your piece. Say goodbye to Mr. McDaniels.
Oh, it's not even goodbye. It's a total good riddance, especially like just the more that comes out, you question, especially in like 2023 and the other coaches you see like around the league, how a guy like this got into power. Like basically what happened for people that don't know is Antonio Pierce, what really came to the breaking point after the Lions game is there was like a open everything meeting. Instead of like players only, it was like, no, like we're just gonna get it all out. Like everybody's unhappy. Let's speak their mind. Basically, all players were coming at Josh McDaniels, and rightfully so. I mean, you have Josh Jacobs and Devontae Adams, both are top 5 in their position in the league, and you can't do anything with it. Like that has been just boggling to me. You can blame whatever on Jimmy G, but it was when you watch their games, like, all right, there's just nothing going on with this offense. And even just defensively, the way the team looked, it was clear there was a lot of frustration. And McDaniels, I guess at a certain point, is going to look disgruntled, right? And hearing all that about him. But Antonio Pierce actually stepped in to help and was saying, hey, like, we need to have the mentality of the '07 Giants, like going into that Super Bowl against Patriots. They had no fear. Like, they knew, like, as a club, we're going to go in every game. Like, a good message. But after that, McDaniels, I guess, got pissed at Pierce and said, don't speak about Patriots that way. Like, this dude is, like, Belichick's, like, all this stuff. And so, essentially, Pierce is just not going to defend a guy like that anymore, and rightfully so. I mean, I don't know why he'd ever defend Josh McDaniels. We've been harping on it for 2 years now, since he got the job. It's
like, yeah,
we can see this, and everyone in the field.
This podcast, man, we are going like bar for bar from like our 2022 very first launched episode. Yeah, these coaches need to be fired. Matt Rule, Cliff Kingsbury, now Josh McDaniels, Nathaniel Hackett, and there's one guy left, the one I felt the most passionate about.
It'll happen. It'll happen this year. It's going to. It's inevitable.
But we're not talking about the Chargers today. We're
thankfully. Play tonight.
I fully agree. What a clown, man. I mean, dude, Mark Davis, the owner, comes out and is like, he literally says to the press, yeah, I'm more than happy to like pay out the $100 million that I still owed him. Like it's
worth it. The guy is a jerk, dude. I don't understand.
This is a hiring too. Like when we started recording last year, we both looked. We were like, dude, this guy hasn't been successful anywhere. Like, why did they do this? Then they just ousted Derek Carr, which is the entire reason Devontae Adams came there, to go get Jimmy G. Like it didn't make any. That's a lateral move for like it made no sense, especially when Derek Carr was like living and bleeding Raider Nation. Like
he could have retired.
If you're gonna draft a quarterback, fine, right? Like fine, and you're ready to move on there. But no, we're gonna go make a lateral move for Jimmy Garoppolo, who's at this point in his career, he's so injured every other week that I think he needs to retire. Take the Andrew Luck approach. Which is a sad conversation, but because I don't think he's a horrible quarterback, but it's clearly hindering his play. Look, I'll ask you this. This was my biggest beef with the situation, and I guess it just was timing for Mark Davis. He finally just said, screw it. But if you're going to make this move, a lot of people were calling for, like, after that game, like Devontae Adams and like to demand a trade to get out of there, that sort of thing. Like if you're going to make this move and blow things up, in my opinion, I would have traded Devontae. And I know that you're going to have to find a suitor for it, but there were calls. I'm pretty sure, well, ironically, the Jets, of course, called them. But I would have made that move. I would have maybe even tried to find a place to deal Garoppolo, maybe even Jacobs. Like personally, I'd hang on to Jacobs, but you get my point. Like I'd have blown it up and said, screw it, we're going to start from scratch for whoever's next, Antonio Pierce or whoever, like, whoever it is.
Sure.
Do you agree, or do you see incentive to keep Devontae at this point?
You could keep incentive in the sense that I think his value is probably the lowest it's been. I think you're hoping maybe at the end of the year that with a rookie quarterback, he may generate some more pop. I mean, because he's not
trade him at the end of the year when the deadline's reset.
Well, yeah, maybe just you hope he finishes out strong, and then going into next season, and at the draft, I feel like usually a big name receiver usually gets moved. Like usually teams will convince themselves, all right, we'll take AJ Brown instead of a rookie, and I think this is just my biggest gripe. Because you're probably right, but the issue of the reason they're probably holding on right now is probably something with guaranteed money. I mean, they got him to like a 5-year deal. So same reason McDaniels held his job for this long. And then eventually he gets to the point where you're like, all right, we'll just bite the bullet. But you could have just bitten the bullet last season. Like
yeah.
What you're saying, when you're deciding to go one direction, go that direction. And even the Broncos, as much as we bash on it, they were going one direction with going all in with Russ and just kept going that direction. Got Sean Payton. Is it going to pay off? We don't know.
No, I respect that though. Like that's what I'm asking for is like, we made a decision. We're going to like try and make it work. Which I guess is hypocritical of my decision of me saying to get rid of Davante. But I guess I'm saying it from that standpoint of we're firing the coach and resetting, like, let's just
reset,
do all of it and reset.
Yeah.
Davante, I wouldn't be shocked to see him move to the draft. You're probably right.
Most realistic timing.
If I'm Mark Davis, if I'm the owner or the GM, whoever he is, I'm just looking at the situation like, okay, we just signed Davante to this massive deal, or the Packers signed him and we traded for it, right? What does he have? 3 or 4 years left on that deal. Like, are we realistically going to be Super Bowl contenders with him on the roster and be able to build a roster around this massive contract in that short amount of time? No.
I don't think so. You can't realistically think
and if you do get there, is that like a roster that is long-term sustainable for success? I say no still. Like, if you find a way to manufacture a team, it's going to be like via a Brock Purdy type situation where you've got, or a Bengals situation where you've got massive amounts of studs on rookie deals and you're making it work because of that. But the second that those are up, which would be right around the time that Davante's contract would be up, you're going to have to make a choice.
Decisions.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm sure they'll reassess as the year goes on. They're getting new management in there. I don't blame, in hindsight, the more I think about it, I don't blame them for, biting the bullet and staying away from a quick trigger of just massive amounts of blowing it up, right? Like, we're going to fire our coach and we're going to trade away our, $100 million receiver on the same day. Like that, maybe you just didn't want to do that, like all on the same day. And you didn't have enough time before the deadline to make it happen with new management. So all that to say, though, congrats, Mark Davis. Made the right decision. Fired Josh McDaniels. I would like to announce now, ahead of time, I will be buying stock. 3 confidence. Josh McDaniels will never be a head coach in the NFL ever again. Today's the day. I will be purchasing that. Mark it down. 11/6/23. Anyone is welcome to join in on the Josh McDaniels. Never being a head coach against stock. We'll get to buy, sell, hold. But now felt like the right time to run that victory lap. So
yeah, makes sense.
Another victory lap, not really for us, but for Mr. Josh Dobbs. Dude, and another victory lap for all the Arthur Smith haters out there, because there's a growing legion of them on Twitter, which is funny. I feel like we're actually like Arthur Smith supporters, or have been in the past, but I'm starting to get to an annoyance with him just because his attitude in the media at this point. But I'm interested to see your reaction to this game and Arthur Smith's tenure in general, and then we'll get to Josh Dobbs after that.
This is the game that made it kind of turn for me, and I'm going to give my reasoning. A lot of it has to do with, and I don't want to take anything away from Dobbs' performance, because what he did was incredible. I mean, there's a lot of guys we've heard of, guys like Johnny Football who don't even watch film, and you got a guy who, Kevin O'Connell, is literally like trying to break down the play before the play happens. Be like, hey, this is what you're calling, like in the headset. He's practicing his cadence on the sideline, like basic we
are back to Pop Warner football, right?
Literally. And it's like, all right, there's no way this is gonna work, but it did. And so then I have to flip like on the other end of this is like, all right, so if Arthur Smith is this offensive genius who's got Drake London, Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts, I'm going to question even harder when they do like a double pass to their third tight end, and then that third tight, it was like Jonu Smith threw it to like Irv Smith, and Kyle Pitts was blocking on the play. And of course, it's an incompletion because why would something like that get dialed up and completed? But I'm like, all right, is this a guy who is getting too into his head now? He thinks he's this genius. I think even the reporters were asking him of like something with the quarterback because it's always is going to be Heineke, it's going to be Ritter. We never know. And he said something about, well, these are newer faces like Ritter's, and he's a younger guy. Heineke's in his first year at the team. It's going to take some time. Didn't take Dobbs any time. He showed up on the flight 2 days ago, and they beat you.
He entered the building on Monday, man.
Like, yeah, dude, that's where I have to just kind of draw a line. I'm like, all right, now I'm to the point where I can't defend him anymore. Like, I've actually, and like, I have been an advocate for Arthur Smith. I have like coach in the year conversation might have been my pick. I have to start going the other way when I see stuff like this, and he's getting called out all the time every week for having these boneheaded plays. It's becoming indefensible because Mike McDaniel doesn't do that. Nick Sirianni doesn't. They stick with what works.
Here's my Arthur Smith agenda. All right, it's not an agenda. It's my analysis. Is a better word. Arthur Smith last year got thrown into a horrible situation. Marcus Mariota, Atlanta, they lost Matt Ryan, turmoil in the organization, low expectations. Right. Low expectations.
Yeah.
Surpasses the low expectations. Mariota looks pretty decent, average. They're creatively getting this young rookie Drake London involved. Kyle Pitts is not producing, but you know what? They're winning some games. They're doing better than we thought. So can we really argue with Kyle Pitts' fantasy numbers? Like, they're playing winning football, right? Can we really argue with that? It's just fantasy. He doesn't care, right? Right. Okay, then we get to year 2. All right, they fall off towards the end of the year, don't make the playoffs. But they won 6-7 games, like overperformance in a lot of people's eyes. We get to year 2 of the Arthur Smith tenure. We got the 4th overall pick in the draft, I'm pretty sure is what it was. We draft Bijan Robinson, supposed to be the best running back to come out of the draft since Saquon. 4th or 5th overall pick, something like that. It's a top 10 pick. You use a top 10 pick on a running back, all right? Supposed to be the best running back prospect since Saquon, yada, yada, yada. He comes out week 1, he looks phenomenal, right? He scored 2 touchdowns or whatever it was. We're creatively getting the ball. We're throwing it to him. We're passing it to him. And now we are in week 9. Bijan's like nowhere to be found. Tyler Allgeier's out carrying him. Cordell Patterson is, still on the roster. It's turning into Desmond Ritter's not going to work. Now we're turning to Taylor Heineke, who I'm a big supporter of, but it's not going to win you a Super Bowl. I've never said that about Taylor Heineke. And so my analysis of Arthur Smith is, and it's more of a question. If he was anywhere else, would we have thought so highly of him? Right? If he was anywhere else last year and going into this year, would we have thought so highly of him as a potential coach of the year candidate? If he was in Green Bay last year or this year, where expectations are higher, do we think of him differently? If he was in Minnesota, Detroit, New York, any of these teams that seem to have found their guy as their coach, and it was him instead, and the exact same results. I'm not saying that Arthur Smith hasn't been dealt a bad hand, but I am saying that this is the guy that didn't draft a quarterback, instead drafted a running back, has a generational talent at tight end, now a generational talent at running back. Hopefully this year, I don't think he'll get fired this year. I really don't. Hopefully this year they can get a quarterback for him. Desmond Ridder, Taylor Heineke, not it. Let's draft a quarterback. Let's bring them in. And it's not like it just gives off this overcoached high school football team vibe where not coach's son, but the quarterback is this system guy that has played with the coach since middle school. It doesn't have to be a coach's son, but there's all this talent in their conference, and they've got this really freak good wide receiver. It's like, well, why don't we just freaking put him at quarterback, right? Or just get the ball in his hands, and then we'll just, that's our game plan, right? Find a way to do that. It's like, no, we're gonna run RPOs because they work, right? You ever go to a D2 or D3 college football game, and one of the offenses there is running a freaking read option with a bubble attached to it 75% of the time? That's what it feels like. That's what it feels like. That's what on a grander level, that's what it feels like. And it's like, it was working last year because we had such low expectations. And now that we've gone in with higher expectations, it's like, dude, did you really just get freaking beat by a guy that showed up on Monday? Like, we talk about you like this offensive mastermind. And what the bigger problem with Arthur Smith to me, more than anything, is not so much the record, because it's not like we had playoff or Super Bowl expectations for the Falcons this year, but it's the fact that there's been no improvement. And then he goes into the media and just gives off this egotistical, like, holier than thou, smarter than you vibe in every single interaction he has. And he's so annoyed and ticked off. Like, you can't play the Marshawn Lynch card, dude. That doesn't work for you. You're a head coach.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you can't do that. Like, Marshawn Lynch gets away with it because he's more or less like a thug. Like,
and sounds a Hall of Fame running back. Like, that's the difference. Arthur Smith isn't a Hall of Fame coach. He's still fighting for his
Marshawn Lynch was that way. And Marshawn Lynch was consistent with the media for his whole career. Arthur Smith is just like, in the past few weeks, been like, I'm sick and tired of you fantasy owners complaining. This is real football. And then goes out and does this crap. And it's like, yeah, well, maybe you should learn how the internet works, you idiot, because those people actually have power to get your job fired. Go look at Josh McDaniels over there, right? Mm-hmm. Like, they just paid $80 million to his freaking bank account just to get him out of their building. Like,
yeah, it's wild to me. Wild that
it's. Yeah, and I'm not saying that NFL head coaches should be listening to every armchair quarterback on Twitter or keyboard warrior or even us, but it is a matter of, like, dude, have some self-awareness of the image you're putting off is not good for your long-term stake in your just Atlanta fan base. If they don't like you, it's probably not going to last long. That's just the way NFL 10 years work, man. Fans have power. Fans do have power. So I digress. But shout out Josh Dobbs. The legend of Josh Dobbs continues, man. Throwback to that Madden 17 franchise. But he freaking won me a Super Bowl. He must have been a rookie back then. He's been around a while now. But
good old journeyman.
I wish Jake was here to talk about Josh Dobbs this week, because I can't even, like, I was watching this game with my jaw on the floor. Like, they're driving, completing. The game-winning drive was just something masterful. Like, I'm just glad I got to witness it. I don't think I'll ever see anything like it ever again. But
yeah.
Any further comments on Kevin O'Connell, Josh Dobbs, Arthur Smith, the whole situation? I thought I put this one on the docket today because I knew it was going to be an interesting conversation piece.
Yeah, no, I just disappointed in Arthur Smith, but honestly not shocked anymore. He's kind of in that, like, Chip Kelly arc for me right now. Like, first season came on really strong with a bunch of pieces that you wouldn't expect him to do pretty well with. Now we're at that point where they built up a roster. Like, I can't really look at the three-headed monster, Bijan, Drake London, and Pitts, and be like, well, he doesn't have enough to work with. I think with Heineke, you should be able to be like a not only winning club, but like, they should be winning that division. Like, they should be solidified for the playoffs. That was my thoughts with Coach of the Year, and not looking that way. But definitely have to tip the hat to the Vikings. They're going to be a big part of my buy-sell hold. Yeah, where do they go?
Vikings, if it's your buy-sell hold, don't spoil it. If that's going to be your take, like, you can save it. But it just came out today. They're starting Dobbs from here on out. So
right, yeah, it's we'll get into that later.
All right. We can pivot then.
A game or two, right? I know.
Yeah. Let's move on. We can briefly talk Ravens Seahawks. My analysis of this game is, dude, the Ravens are just legit. Like, that's where I'm at. Like, we could read stats or whatever.
They seem to dominate against NFC opponents. I don't know if that's a reflection of the NFC this year, but Lamar's like 17-1 in his career against NFC opponents or something wild like that. One of those, like, it's similar to the preseason stat of when they had like 26 straight wins in the preseason, but sorry, go ahead.
I mean, do you have anything further to say about the Ravens Seahawks? I mean, I have it written down, but like my analysis is really just like Ravens are probably the top team in the AFC for me right now.
Yeah. I mean, given what we got going on, given the role they've been on,
I want to see them
really hard
play.
to argue
I
with
want to see
that.
them play the Bengals at full strength, and I want to see them play the Bills or the Chiefs. But
Yeah. Mirrors the statements of like last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, of like this. It's similar to like the West, or not the West, the AFC is the better conference. Like
yeah,
just from top down it's just way deeper than the NFC right now.
yes. All right, let's go Saturday Night Football. Bills, Bengals. What are your thoughts here, man? I mean, we both picked the Bengals to win this game. I turned to my dad before the game. I'm like, hey, what week is it? Week 9? Bengals are winning. Like
Yeah.
that's where we're at. They moved to 5-3, man. Like I don't know. What are your thoughts on this game?
I think people are going to look at the score and think it was a lot closer than it was, but to my knowledge, it was 21-7 at half. And like the Bills are probably the most disappointing 5-4 team I've probably seen in a while. I know like I haven't been too high on them this year, but I think a lot of people still held them in that like AFC contender category. And we've brought up how that is a deeper conference this year, but at 5-4, I mean, they got a tough schedule down the stretch. And I think if they're sitting at like 10-7, 9-8, they're going to be kind of playing the tiebreaker game to even make the playoffs. And I know the Dolphins' loss helps them out, definitely. But the Jets recently haven't been a slouch. If they win tonight, it's very interesting. And I don't really have whole much to say about the Bengals because it's like this is what they do. We've been talking about it.
We've been preaching this for 9 weeks. Don't worry, don't panic. They'll be fine in week 10. They'll be peaking.
Yeah, like there's no concern there. It's just Bills, they might be like a very surprise early exit this year. Like I would not be shocked a wild card exit, and then a lot of people are looking to make maybe some crazy changes. Maybe McDermott's job.
No,
that is a very crazy thing.
I disagree with that.
If he's been kind of stale, not getting over the hump, Buffalo's Mafia.
Here's the problem with if McDermott gets on the hot seat, I'll defend him with my life because the Bills were in head coach and just overall organizational dismay since Marv Levy and Jim Kelly, like 25 years before the Josh Allen era. They didn't make the playoffs forever. I mean, they were brutal. Their best season was like Ryan Fitzpatrick. They freaking gave Andy Dalton a standing ovation when he got them into the playoffs that one year. Like it's just a playoff berth. And now they've been to an AFC championship. They're winning playoff games. They're not going to fire Doug McDermott or Sean McDermott. Sorry. They're not going to fire him.
Dougie McBuckets. Nice.
They're not going to fire him. Like it ain't gonna happen. What will happen is maybe there's gonna be some changes. The aging defense, they're gonna reload.
GM
potentially. I could see that potentially. I think the defense is aging, but it won't be McDermott. It won't be Josh Allen. Could be Diggs though. Could be Diggs. Could make a move, bring in somebody else, get rid of the attitude that the media loves to hype up. That I think is a little more mediafied than actually is real, but. Diggs he had the same problems in Minnesota. Yeah. We'll see where he goes, and we seem to live. Stephon Diggs seems to be the James Harden of the NFL right now, but we'll get to that eventually.
Low-key, most NFL receivers ever, but.
Yeah. But we live in it. Like we've talked about this. Like there's not a lot of wide receiver divas anymore. Like they don't. Not like they used to be. Not like there used to be, man.
Not on the level of T.O. or like Chad Ochocinco, but like it's those are tough to beat, man. Those guys are timeless.
Those guys were timeless. Oh man.
Changed his last name to his number.
That's not even his number
Can you
either. It's
imagine?
just Ocho Cinco. That's not how you say 85 in Spanish.
Like Tyreek Diaz or like Jamar Uno. Like, can you even imagine today?
Dude, Jamar Chase should do that. That would be sick.
Uno, it'd be so sick. But like,
Cinco.
it's just so out there. It's so out there. Even today, you would never expect it to actually happen because who does that? Who actually does that? But Chad Johnson, man. Shout out.
CD Ocho.
Man. No, it's good for the Bengals, though. They keep on rolling.
Yeah, man. I hate to be that guy, and we'll get to it, buy, sell, hold. But yeah. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Let's actually we should pivot to buy, sell, hold. So let's do that here. Buy, sell, hold. You mentioned Vikings, a little stock we're buying here. I'll give you the floor first because I technically already bought the Josh McDaniel.
Right. Yeah, and it's really just it's more of a scenario for the Vikings, and we'll give it a 2 confidence. Because I'm leaning this direction. I wouldn't be shocked if I'm wrong. But I see it playing out just because they haven't given Kirk an extension yet. I feel like even with like the Packers suit for Rashawn Gary, you prioritize players you want to keep. And with the 2 confidence, Josh Dobbs will be on the Vikings roster next season and Kirk will not. Wow. And I know that may not be a screaming hot take, but I also don't. I feel like, if I asked Jake today, would he be ready to see Dobbs as the opening day starter for the Minnesota Vikings long term? I think it would be however it might be trending is still a crazy idea to think about. Just given the stability, I would say that Kirk has brought the Vikings for the past couple of years. I mean, since the days of Christian Ponder and Tavares Jackson, rest in peace. I mean, there's some good who he played for names in there. Joe Webb. But I just am very confident when we talk about team building. I think they could get Dobbs for a lot cheaper than Kirk Cousins. I think as a GM, if you play the season out and they kind of convince themselves they have a better roster than they do, you roll with Dobbs for maybe the 15, 20 million a year he might command, and you save 20 million or so in cap space you can use elsewhere on your defense, maybe beef up the O-line. Just thought, though. I could be completely wrong on this.
I don't hate it. My thing is, like, it's hard to justify. Here's the thing is if Kirk had played the rest of the year and they'd missed the playoffs, it'd be very easy to justify moving on and like soft resetting. We're going to build around Justin Jefferson's new contract, draft a quarterback, figure something out, right? We got TJ's contract, beef up our defense and just soft reset. Like, we don't think he's going to be the guy to take us over the hump because we can't afford him. Yada, yada, yada. It's hard to justify that now because it's clouded with this injury of like, okay, Kirk's last 2 years, 13-win season, win the division, first time since 2017 or whatever. Went 11-0 in one-score games and happened to lose, chips will fall where they may in the divisional against the Giants. Start this season 1-4, win 3 straights, get to 4-4. Kirk's probably playing the best ball of his career. Now what? It's very clouded in terms of like, if I'm a Vikings fan, if I'm a Vikings in the Vikings organization, like, especially with the support that his teammates show him when they wear his shirts pregame and whatnot, it's pretty hard for me to move on from him at this point. And it might be like a 1 to 2 year extension of like, we like our roster. We've got a couple small holes, but the offensive core is set. Jefferson, Hockenson, Cousins, maybe Akers, Matt, figure out running backs situation, bring somebody in. I don't know, somebody a little bit better, beef up the O-line. And then the defense is overperforming this year. Like, they're winning games, and it's hard for me. Like, we've got O'Connell. It's hard for me to justify moving completely on from that roster when they've really only had one go at it, and that was 13-4 and a heartbreaking divisional loss at home by 1 touchdown. Like, what I'm like, and I know we talk about Kirk's past playoff experience and whatnot. But dude, I that was Zimmer before Kirk. Like that, you know what I'm saying? They were doing that crap before Kirk, and that's an organizational thing historically with the Vikings that I don't know if it's entirely on Kirk. Like I just the guy's playing the best ball of his career and everybody says it, and the teammates love him. I'd be shocked if they move on. I think you sign him to a 1 or 2 year deal to extend him. That'd be my guess. But I don't hate the take. I don't hate the take.
Am I still here?
Yeah.
Sorry, no, it just went like the screen went dark, and I didn't really catch the end of that. But I also, I totally hear where you're coming from, and like, it's right now there's like the odds of it happening are slim. But I also think of there's a time to move on from every like veteran quarterback, and it doesn't always play into when you think it's going to happen. I think with the Rodgers saga.
How many years of productivity do you think Kirk has left?
Oh, I think he's probably still got 5 or 6 years. I think that's why, from his aspect, I think my reasoning as to why the split would happen is not really because Vikings fans want it or the organization even wants it, and even Kirk. It might just come down to contract differences. Like we're saying, a 1 or 2 year deal would be most optimal for the Vikings. But if I'm Kirk and you're saying playing the best ball of his career, coming off of a season-ending injury and realizing, all right, I have some mortality as a QB here. If I'm looking to get that 5 or 6 year deal. He was a guy who took the franchise tag from the commies for like 2 to 3 years straight, and then he went to the Vikings. He took a 3-year fully guaranteed deal, but I'm thinking he's probably looking for like his last big deal, and that should be like 5 or 6 years.
Do you think he'll take a pay cut? Do you think he'd take a pay cut to stay in Minnesota?
I think his personality lines up as he would, but I also haven't heard that. Like, he never took a pay cut with the Commanders. Now, granted, it's a different situation, but that's why I don't have like a 3 confidence and like I'm confident it's going to happen. It's like 2 of like, maybe the Vikings just as an organization are going to look, and if Dobbs performs at the level we're seeing, they just might be like, we hate to do it. Like, we hate to do this, but like, we need the capital. We can't pay you, Kirk.
Yeah.
It's not really I'm not trying to make this seem like they should move on from Kirk. I think if you have the assets, you can build the team, keep the guy that is finally giving you sustained success. Like you said, they were 13-4 last year, but I could see the way teams are built with like the 49ers and the contenders lately. I could see the intrigue as a Vikings GM to be like, maybe we just roll with Dobbs.
Yeah,
see how we go.
I see it. My other purchase today, 2 confidence Bengals are going to win the AFC North.
Okay.
I think they come close to running the table. They maybe lose a game or 2 more.
Yeah, I think the Ravens do probably close to the same thing. That's my only pushback to that is they have been on fire. But I mean, I can totally see them not losing a game. It's like week 10 now. It's definitely their territory.
It's time. It's time. It's Bengals time.
It's Bengal time. Yeah. It's jeez.
Fire up the Joe Cool edits. It's time.
Classic Joe Cool. I think my last kind of we'll call it a buy. I'm not like crazy confident in it, but I'm gonna say it's a longer term that LaFleur coaches the Packers through 2027, which is the next, for those counting, like 4 years, and that is ultimately due to the fact that even if things start to go awry, I think Gutekunst needs to go first. And I think they give them both next year. I think maybe the year after that, if we're like really bad still, Gutekunst would go. I think I said 2 confidence, but if I didn't say it out loud, that's where I stand on it.
I don't hate that. A lot of Packers fans are saying he needs to go and all this other stuff. And
his picks are holding us back personally. When I see A.J. Dillon get touches still this year and he's done nothing productive with them.
Gutekunst or LaFleur?
It's the fact that I think Gutekunst has a lot to say in the down to LaFleur. How that relationship, it feels like I'm not saying LaFleur is a puppet, but it seems like Gutekunst kind of has a say.
I think that I agree with the take. Like they're not going to fire LaFleur before giving him like 2 or 3 years with Jordan Love to like prove it. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And even then, I think if Love fails, it's going to be more on Gutekunst.
Here's my issue.
I saw some play designs I like from LaFleur. I did.
Yeah, and here's the thing is like with Gutekunst, like he seems to have like basically staked his legacy on Jordan Love as Packers. Like he got the job, or he had the job, and he looked at the situation. He was like, I'm going to be the guy that drafts the next generation of Packers offense. I'm going to do it when we're all set with MVP Aaron Rodgers. Nah, first round Jordan Love. Boom. And I like the confidence. I like the concept of sitting a guy for 3 years. I do. I've said that a number of times that guys are better off because of that, and their floor gets raised because of that. But it's a lot.
You better be right.
Yeah, you better be right, man.
You better be right.
You better be right. I'm not saying he's wrong, because I'm still fairly high on Jordan Love. I don't think he's the issue with this team. I think drops, lack of weapons, defense underperforming, and
personnel issues,
overall health with the running back room as well. Like, that's where my concerns are. Is like, Jordan, you're asking a rookie quarterback to go out there and be, 2020 Aaron Rodgers, and that's just not going to happen. Like, he's not a rookie quarterback, first year starter, but they're 3-5. Like, let's look at it from the outside perspective of like where we were 3-5. He had told me that in August. I've been like, all right, like it's probably what I expect. Probably going to finish 7-8 wins, 6 to 8 wins, middle of the road. And it's like, I'm not disappointed with that macro, in terms of rebuild, as long as we get to where we're supposed to go.
Yeah. And that's what I'm forecasting. We're not going to get where we're supposed to go. I just, because of how good some of these younger like pieces look everywhere else, it just feels like nothing we got is like consistent.
You're forgetting our O-line is depleted. Like, there's more holes on this roster, I think, than people think or realize. Like, Elton Jenkins, Bach go down. It's like, okay, well, now we lost 2 long tenured starters in very important positions. We've got young receivers who can't freaking, nobody's stepping into this Jefferson-esque stardom.
Well, I mean, we do have a team of like all young guys, but who got rid of all the veterans? Wasn't LaFleur. Yeah. Wasn't, all the voices in the locker room are gone. And like you mentioned, Bach, the only one that is probably still has a voice, is never even playing. So
that's why I think I agree with your take that they're going to give it time, which I think they should. I think they should. It's a rebuild. Like, it is what it is. But let's pivot. Let's go week 10 picks, and then we'll rip through half season awards to close out the episode. But starting on Thursday night, Panthers going into Chicago. I rarely do this, but I'm going to take the Chicago Bears to win this game on Thursday Night Football, assuming Tyson Bagent is playing.
Yeah, I'll take the same here. I think I took Panthers last week, and that was a miss. Yeah,
the only thing that makes me hesitant is the idea that, like, hey, Bryce Young, he could have like a breakout game here because he's playing the Chicago Bears. Like,
I thought playing the Colts, who'd had a tissue paper defense past couple weeks, would have worked, but Bryce Young let me down.
Fair. Colts at Patriots in 2008. I would have loved this matchup. I don't care at all.
No,
I'm gonna take Colts. Patriots are approaching no pick territory here. It's kind of sad.
They are. So I think this will be my last pick with the Pats. I always miss the Colts game, so I'm just going like against my gut here. I'm gonna take the Pats.
All right. Browns at Ravens. I'm taking the Ravens and not thinking twice. And I know I'm gonna regret it too. But
yeah, it feels like a Ravens loss might be coming. I'll take the Browns.
Packers at Steelers. We are pretty successful when I don't pick us, so I'm taking the Steelers.
And I got to ride true with the Packers, no matter the opponent.
Respectable. Jaguars or 49ers in Jacksonville. I'm going to take Jacksonville both teams coming off of a bye. 49ers regroup a little bit. Wouldn't be surprised if Jacksonville loses this, but that's just how highly I think of the Jaguars right now.
Yeah. I think it's not even. I think the 49ers are playing better ball right now. They've been losing a lot. The Jags been winning, so I just think it might flip just because. And the 49ers are that good, so I'll take them. I'll take the Niners.
Here's my, I guess, upset of the week. Vikings are hosting the Saints. I'm going to take the Vikings. Is that an upset of the week?
I have to check the spread. I wouldn't be surprised if the Vikings are favored. The Saints are so unpredictable. The Vikings are kind of on a roll here, and Dobbs with practice time does sound very enticing, so I'm going to have to take them as well.
All right, Texans going into Cincinnati. Cincinnati, it's week 10. We've approached pick every week for me with Cincinnati. So are you taking CJ Stroud to follow it up, though?
Yeah, he might follow it up because it's in Ohio and whatnot, but I don't think the Texans actually win the game. Joe Burrow's a different animal than Baker Mayfield.
Fair enough. Titans are playing in Tampa Bay. Who you got?
Oh, wow. I think Buccaneers probably win here. They've been on the kind of knocking on the door every week. Yeah, I think if they don't get it, I'm going Buccaneers. That's a close one though.
I have to agree. I think I'm going to go Titans just to go the opposite of your pick. I have
differential sake,
for differential sake. Lions are going on the road to LA to play the Chargers. I'm going to roll with the Lions. I'm kind of not picking against them against the Chargers. This pick is subject to change based on what we see on Monday night tonight, but who you got?
Take the Chargers because I think I picked against them tonight, so they should be due for a win.
Giants play the Cowboys. Danny Dimes towards ACL, most likely. I didn't see confirmation, but that's what I saw.
He did actually. It got confirmed I think an hour or so ago.
And no Tyrod, I don't think is an option either. So I'm gonna roll with the Cowboys on that one. Not really think twice about it. What a great dude! We're gonna have to do the math on my combined wins for Super Bowl picks for the last 2 seasons because it's been pretty atrocious. Commanders going into Seattle. I gotta be honest. Seattle's coming off a horrible loss, but I just don't see Sam Howell going into the 12th man and winning.
I don't really see it either. Yeah, I'll have to go with Seattle.
Jets at Raiders on Sunday Night Football, I believe. I'm gonna take the Jets. I know I was big on the Raiders this week for the interim head coach Cheese. Got that game right, but I'm gonna go Jets.
Yeah, I'll take the bait. Raiders, they're playing hard. They just find a way to get it done.
Broncos, Bills in Buffalo on Monday Night Football. I think the Bills roll here, come back, bounce back victory. It's going to be in handled fashion.
Oh, I'm picking the Bills, but I'll tell you, if the Broncos keep this thing close, they might come off my no pick list.
That's wow.
I'll give them that. I know. We're actually
to recap,
not that bad.
To recap, week 9, I'm currently 9-4. You're currently 7-6. We are both. I have the Chargers this week. You have the Jets on Monday night. But regardless, I'm rolling, man. I am rolling. Business is booming when it comes to the picks. We are consistently on top of the leaderboard. We as in me. All right, half season awards. I kind of want to rip through this fairly quickly. We're kind of running a little short on time, but I'm interested to see what you got for a couple of these. So I'll start with MVP. You start with MVP because I've got kind of a controversial take, but go ahead.
Yes, I think at one point it might have been Josh Allen when we did our quarter season awards or whatever, and that's flipped. I'm still I'm gonna go with Tyreek. He might get Offensive Player of the Year because I know it's a quarterback award. But if he goes over 2,000 and we kind of have a clog up of a quarterback's not going to separate themselves, I'm just going to go with Tyreek.
Similar thought process. I've got Tyreek as my Offensive Player of the Year and Christian McCaffrey as my MVP. The guy scoring a touchdown in every single game they play. If he makes that streak through the end of the year, How do you argue against that? I mean, the guys, he spots you 7 points every game, a minimum.
Yeah,
Like if for me,
minimum
it's
of
like
17
if we don't see a quarterback pull ahead at the end of the year, which we very well may, could be Tua, could be Lamar, depending on, it could be Burrow down the stretch, like it could be Mahomes as well or Hurts. Like there's a couple guys, it's very closer than normal. Nobody's pulled away early. Even Josh Allen, if they get hot, like I don't think his numbers are that bad. He's thrown a lot of picks this year, but
Yeah.
right now it's Christian McCaffrey for me though. The guy's he's on another level than any other skill player in the league, including Tyreek Hill. When Tyreek Hill's my offensive player of the year, who do you got?
Oh, I said Tyreek Hill. Yeah, I just got him for back to back because
Oh, okay.
I just don't see that. If we're gonna give it to Tua, it's like I'd probably just give it to Tyreek as a voter.
Yeah.
So
How about offensive rookie of the year? I've got Stroud, and I don't know if it's close.
yeah, right now it's hard to make an argument against that. Really
Yeah.
is.
Defensive rookie of the year, I've got Jalen Carter. I just can't really think of anybody else who's been that impactful.
I think I've been rolling with Brian Branch just because Detroit's defense has been better than expected. But like Jalen Carter's by the odds-on favorite.
Yeah. That takes us to defensive player of the year. Parsons is the odds-on favorite. I'm just going to roll with my Myles Garrett pick. I think this is a close race. They're having a good year. The Browns defense is having a good year. I don't feel like I need to argue for that case very much. Like I roll with my preseason pick of Myles Garrett. Who you got?
I think I've been rolling with Parsons just because it's like you keep going back and forth with him. But like Garrett's been making a lot of big plays, which is I think why he might get some voters. Like you
TJ Watt
yeah.
I think is also up there. He scored a couple times too. Like it's been
right. Classic TJ Watt things.
Yeah. All right, final award. I mean, this is the one I'm most interested to see where you're at because I think I've got a nice pick. We might be on the same page though. Coach of the year.
Oh, I'm trying to think if we got some not. Would it be weird if I said John Harbaugh, just in the sense
No.
that if they get the best record the way the AFC looks, I know he's an older guy, people kind of know, but Ravens have been looking really good lately. And I don't want to back off of Mike McDaniel, but like Nick Sirianni, I feel like already has recognition. And I mean, McDaniel just lost to the Chiefs, and the Dolphins have not been very good against winning teams. That might need to be investigated. But under Mike McDaniel's tenure, they don't seem to pull it out against some of the better clubs. It's a statistical thing. I hate that I have to say it, but
No, I agree.
What are your thoughts?
I have DeMeco Ryans. In terms of a 1 year turnaround, like if they finish anywhere close to 500, he won't win the award. But for me, for my award, 1 year turnaround, DeMeco Ryans. The guy I think is going to win the award if things go as I planned is my preseason prediction, Doug Peterson. He's earned it in terms of a 2 year turnaround.
Right.
But those are my two guys. We talked enough about DeMeco Ryans already. I don't really need to praise him, and we talk about the Jags all the time. But yeah,
definitely. No, yeah, I see the vision.
Yeah, that's gonna wrap us up. Be sure to check us out on TikTok and Twitter. We're excited. The season is rolling. It's Bengals season. Obviously, week 10. I know we make a lot of jokes. Reach out with segment ideas. Let us know. Give us feedback. And we'll be back Monday for week 10 recap and week 11 predictions. And we're going to keep it rolling, man. Any closing thoughts?
No, just hope the Jets pull it out. I need it for my record's sake. Something's not been kind for me. So,
as always, thanks for listening, and catch you guys next week.
Take care.